Hello, hello, hello. I'm Linden Thorp, and this is Our Way, Our Wealth. And I'm here every Saturday on LinkedIn and YouTube, talking about the week just past and alerting to wonderful things that are happening this coming week. So let's get started. Today, So it's been an extraordinary week for me, really. Not because everything was easy, but because something became unmistakably clear. Most of us are trying to live our lives from the limited mind, the brilliant but limited mind. And really, it's costing us. We're trained, indoctrinated to live incrementally, to measure ourselves by output, consistency, productivity, hours, and metrics. To believe that transformation must be slow, linear, and earned by strain. But this week reminded me of something I want to say very plainly to you all. The body does not change in the same way the mind tries to change. And when the nervous system reorganizes, change can be immediate. Here's the image I keep coming back to. When we live in the head, we neglect the engine. The nervous system is the engine. The breath is the steering wheel. And spirit is the fuel, the invisible force that gives you life, courage, and coherence. When we live in the limited mind, the engine doesn't die, it goes offline. And then people think the solution is to push harder, more planning, more effort, more grit. But pushing from a system that's offline can't possibly create freedom. It creates, instead, compression. And compression eventually becomes symptoms. Tired but wired nights, pressure in the ribs, jaw tension, shallow breathing, dread of small tasks, avoidance, many slips, mood shifts, emotional fragility. So this week's theme, calm, wasn't cosmetic. It wasn't self-care. It was a return to what's real. Stability first. So this week's content wasn't just content, it was a complete shift in strategy. Less entertainment, more lead creation, more human conversion, more direct invitations. And the reason it worked better is simple. I wasn't selling a concept, I was offering a doorway, a practical way to come back online, a bundle that makes the next step easy, an invitation that asks someone to choose. And that's why I saw something new this week. People actually asked for the bundle. Not huge numbers yet, but the quality of the response is quite different. It's a signal that clarity converts. Now, I'd like to talk about the moment that, for me, became the proof point. On Your Body is Your Business Plan masterclass every Wednesday. We started at event 1 last week, and Wednesday this week, 21st, was the second event. And in this event, I did the 30-minute recalibration session live, a kind of simulation of it, because, of course, it's confidential, these sessions are highly confidential. But I did it with a dear colleague and dear friend who I've worked with for quite a while now, called Sheila. And I want to be careful here. This isn't theatre. This isn't hype. It's what happens when the right guide meets the right subject. And the subject gives permission. That's the key. Transformation is not something I can do to someone. No one can do it to you. No one can do it for you. But a guide can create the conditions. A guide can help the system feel safe enough. A guide can show when you're bracing, when you're overriding, when you're splitting from yourself. And then the person's own system does what it's designed to do. It reorganizes. What happened with Sheila in the Your Body is Your Business Plan masterclass, week 2, was extraordinary. Exactly because it was clear. Her system shifted in real time. Pain patterns changed. Her coherence changed. Her presence changed. And I want to name this explicitly. And that is why I talk about quantum change. Not because it's mystical jargon, but because it's a different model of reality. The limited mind, the brilliant but limited mind, believes time is the price of transformation. It measures effort like currency. But the body doesn't require suffering to change. It requires signal. It requires safety. And it requires permission. And when that happens, change doesn't always come incrementally. Sometimes it arrives as a reorganization, an internal decision you didn't even know you were allowed to make. This week also strengthened the entire breath thread. We had the diaphragm article, number 3 of 4. And then in embodiment Q&A yesterday, we went deeper into real facts. Breathing is not just take a deep breath. Most people can't take a deep breath because their system is braced. The diaphragm is not a wellness accessory. It's a primary regulator. Movement, pressure, rhythm, safety. And when the diaphragm is restricted, the body stays on alert. The vagus nerve system can't settle properly. Thinking accelerates. The heart loses steadiness. And the whole person loses spaciousness. So really, the breath becomes the first honest signal. If you want to know if you're living from the limited mind, don't ask your thoughts. Ask your ribs. Ask your jaw. Ask your exhale. Because the exhale tells the truth. Can you release, or are you gripping life with white knuckles? And the diaphragm is extraordinary. Most people don't know it exists. I talked to a group of people on Thursday. They had no idea where it was, what it was. Someone pointed to their knee. Most people don't know where it is, but it is your principal breathing muscle. It's right up underneath the edge, front edge of the rib cage. It's a dome-shaped muscle, very thin muscle, which stretches from side to side of the rib cage. And it is really a pressure valve in many ways. So when we breathe in, when we inhale, that muscle goes down. It makes more space in the rib cage so that more air can fit in, can be sucked in from our oxygen supply. And then we breathe out and it comes up to push out the unneeded components, the carbon dioxide, the potentially toxic components of oxygen. So the diaphragm is a kind of pressure valve. And if you don't use it, you're not eliminating toxins properly. You're also cramping all the main organs in the rib cage, especially the heart, which gets cramped up and can't function properly. And you're really shortening your life, to be frank, because the more diaphragmatically we breathe, the more consciously we breathe diaphragmatically, the longer our lives. The lungs do not deteriorate as we get older. They maintain their incredible efficiency, flickering away 24/7, processing raw oxygen so that we can survive and thrive. It's a remarkable system. But many of us breathe either from the upper chest, which is awfully bad for the throat, for the shoulders, or from the belly, right down at the bottom of the body, which is really about poor muscle control. The diaphragm is halfway down the torso and it's very close to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is your center of gravity. So the diaphragm also helps you to keep your balance. Yeah. So that was really interesting to find out that most people don't know what the diaphragm is or where it is. Um, and then later this week, we hit something I really loved: collaboration. In embodiment Q&A, Ebishila and Muiba Jamusi and I, we spoke about collaboration as a heart activity. Because collaboration is not about domination, it's not about control, it's not about performance. Real collaboration happens when people are regulated enough to be open, to listen, to respond, to let someone else's intelligence enter the field. It is all about the unlimited mind. The limited mind tries to win, to prove, to protect, to accumulate, but the unlimited mind is coherent, connected, and creative. And that's why collaboration is not a strategy you learn intellectually. It emerges when the heart and nervous system become available. And I told a story of my students, small research groups, maybe 8 to 12 students, Japanese students, using English as an academic language. And we would gather, and right at the start, I decided that we would do some breathing exercises to introduce uh, the session, which would be about 40 minutes long. So I led some very basic breathing exercises using the diaphragm, making students sit well and even stand well sometimes. Yes, and they would take several really deep diaphragmatic breaths, and I would teach them how that worked. It was a kind of meditation lasting, 2 minutes maximum. But sometimes we stood. And when we did that later on in the semester, when we got to know each other better, we would stand in a circle, shoulder to shoulder, okay, arms down at the side, but really making contact with the next person on each side and getting closer and closer, making the circle smaller, tighter, so that we could be supported by the circle. And then we would close our eyes or semi-close them, soften the eyelids, and start to breathe together. Synchronizing our breath, which I would lead, eventually other students led, but I would get everybody breathing in the same way, and it was heaven. The circle would start to move, to rock, and eventually to go round in a circle, all breathing as one. It was tremendously empowering. And I have to say that these students loved these groups. They collaborated beautifully. They became lifelong friends with each other. And we did fantastic research because they were so relaxed and they were breathing correctly. And there was no tension, there was no chasing after anything. It was very relaxed, very calm and beautiful interaction, pure collaboration from the breath and from the heart. So, yes, here is what I'd like to leave you with today. If you've been trying to think your way out of pressure, overwhelm, burnout even, or simply discontent, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've been trained to use the wrong tool. The limited mind is not the engine of the human entity. The nervous system is the engine. The breath is the steering wheel, and the human spirit is the fuel that drives this amazing vehicle. And the most powerful moment is the moment you give your system permission to reorganize. And this is exactly what happened with Ebby Sheila. She revealed a lifelong pain in her left knee, which was probably due to some kind of fall as a child. It never disappeared. It was always there. Sometimes it was very painful. Sometimes it was not so painful. And when she talked to me about it, I offered her the opportunity to transform that pain and eradicate it forever. She beautifully volunteered to do that in a synthesized session. We went through the movements, the motions of what would happen in a real life 30-minute recalibration session, which I offer and I do all the time. And we showed the audience exactly what happens. Today is Saturday, 4 days on. She wrote to me this morning and she said, "No knee pain, it's gone, entirely gone." She let go of the trauma. I guided her. I invited her to give permission to transform that trauma, to release it, to move on from it. That's exactly what she did. It was a healing. It was a real insight into the unlimited mind and its power, especially for Ebby, who was amazed. So transformation is not incremental. You don't have to have 20 coaching sessions or 300 therapy sessions to get anywhere. You can do it in 30 minutes. I do it all the time with people in 30 minutes. You just need to find the right conditions and to be committed to giving permission to your unlimited mind and your limited mind to let go of this trauma which you're holding on to. It's quantum healing. It's remarkable. And of course, it's self-healing too. And so I invite you to come and experience a 30-minute recalibration session with me so that I can help you to get rid of all the things that are troubling you, and make your life more happier, more fulfilling, more successful, both inside and out. So it's been quite a week. Next week, we continue. We keep building this new regime. There'll be practical offers, real invitations, and evidence-based embodiment. If you want the calm resources, choose them. And if you want to experience the work, choose that. But most of all, choose the 180-degree turn inward. Because the world doesn't need more people living by the skin of their teeth. It needs humans who are back online, steady, grateful, awake, and free. So I leave you with some memorable lines. If you want to write them down, please do. But I hope you can remember them. The first one is the mind, the limited mind, is not the engine. The limited mind is not the engine of your existence. And the engine doesn't idle, it goes offline. So once you become disconnected from your body and your nervous system, your human spirit, the engine won't keep running till you come back. It'll go offline. And if it's offline, then you're never going to receive the signals of distress that are sent by the body in dangerous times, and especially when it comes to burnout. The body will send signals if you are awake, if your engine is online. But if it's offline, well, as you know, with your computer, your devices, if you're offline, well, very little happens. So the mind, the limited mind, is not the engine, and the engine doesn't idle. In other words, it doesn't keep running, it goes offline completely. And thirdly, please remember this, let it ripple through all your cells, through your bones, through your blood, through your feet. Transformation begins with permission. Transformation begins with permission. So, it's been a great week, and next week promises to be marvelous too. We're running Your Body is Your Business Plan again on Wednesday, event 3, and this is called, really, it's event 2 because I gave an introduction. Event 2 is called Wealth Without Guilt. Okay. And we're not sure who's going to be the co-host yet, but we'll be deciding that in the next few hours, actually. And yes, we run these events every Wednesday. The lead up to the event will consist of a poll, a follow-up post, and an anchor article, all connected with that theme. And then on Friday, we have the embodiment Q&A, and we're going to be talking about whether we are collaborative or competitive by nature. That's our question. Are we collaborative or competitive by nature? So on Friday, if you want to learn more about that, the three of us, Dr. Jamusi, Ebishila, and myself, will be discussing this, and we'll bring together all the thoughts of the week. So please join us. We'll leave the link below so you can sign up for all these things. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Linden Thorp, and this is Our Way, Our Wealth. I'm here on Saturday, every Saturday, talking about the week gone and the week approaching. So have a fabulous weekend and keep those things closely in your memory. Remember, the mind is not the engine. The limited mind is not the engine. The engine doesn't idle. It goes offline. And transformation begins with permission. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye for now.